Hi everyone, long time no video. So if you read my Journey to the America series, you remember that I promised to one day gist you about my experience at the US embassy when I was applying for my visa. So I went to the embassy twice when I was applying for my student visa, because the very first time that I went, I didn't go with financial documents, and the consulate officer was gracious enough to ask me to give me a tag and ask me to return another day with the financial document. So the first time that I went, I was very focused. I was there for interview and interview only. I sat all the way at the back. I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't look left. I didn't look right. I was just rehearsing my questions and my answers in my head over and over and over again until it was my turn. So I was not aware of anything that happened that day. But the second time I went with the tag that I was given, I sat on the very first row. So if you've been to the interview to the US embassy for a visa interview, you would know that the way it's positioned is such that the consulate officers are seated, then there are like barriers and plexiglasses that that separate them from the rest of the room, and then the interviewees would walk up to those glasses to have a discussion with the consulate officer whenever they are called. And then there's a little space, and then the chairs are arranged, so if you're sitting on the very first row or even the second row, sometimes you can hear the entire interview of everyone in that place, both questions asked and the answers being given. So I was sitting on the very front row, and I had some pretty interesting visa interview question and answer sessions, and that's what I'll be talking about in no particular order, and I can't remember everything. It's been 8 years, but I'll just start. So the very first one I can remember was one guy that when the consulate officer asked him where he was going to go and do in America, he said that he was going for a drumming competition or something. I didn't even know they used to do drumming competitions in the America. The consulate officer asked him what he was, and he said he was a drummer. That's how this evil consulate officer now asked him to show him something or like drum for him, and the guy to start drumming with his lips and his body. we like drumming very seriously, putting all his effort into it, and consulate officer said laughing. After laughing, this evil man now said that, sorry, but your application has been denied or whatever. Like the consulate officer knew he was going to deny him and then let the poor guy go through the rigors of drumming with his body and with his lips. Anyway, the second guy was one baba. He was an Igbo man, like he was elderly, maybe like late 30s, early 40s ish. And the consulate officer asked him where he was going to. He said he was going to California. Where in California? He couldn't answer. Okay, what are you going to go and do? He said he was going to do business. What kind of business? He couldn't answer. Like consulate officer just said, we are sorry, your application has been denied. I need to bounce. Unless, like, after sitting there for a while, I could tell who would be denied and who would be granted the visa. Like the consulate officers were kind of fair. You could tell from the answers given by the interviewees whether their application will be denied or not. That's not how it is now. I heard now they are denying everybody, but as at that time, they seemed fair, because I was there from about 8 a.m. to 3:30, so over 6 hours or 7 hours. So yeah, and I was usually correct. After a series of 2 or 3 questions, I could tell that they would deny someone and they usually deny the person, and I could tell that they would grant someone and they usually granted the person. And so the next person was one Omolo Boti boy, like he just bounced. The guy asked him basic questions: what's your name? What school are you going to? Yeah. He now asked him, what course are you going to study? The guy said chemical engineering. Why chemical engineering? He couldn't answer. Okay, who's paying for education? He said, my dad. What does your dad do? He's a businessman. What type of business? He couldn't answer. I mean, I just knew that this one had gone to one of those centers where they do everything for you. You know, all those centers where maybe they even take the exam for you. I don't know. But they're the ones that write all the application letters, all your essays, everything. You practically do nothing. You just pay. It was very obvious. Because if he had done his application himself, he should have been able to answer those questions. Anyway, as expected, they told him, sorry, your application has been denied, and he just bounced again, like like you know, it's like molo, as in America was not a do or die. America was one of several options. If America did not work out, you either go to UK. If UK did not work out, worst case scenario, go to a private university. Like America was not a do or die for him. Then there was one guy's interview that really impressed me. He was an elderly man, let's say late 50s, early 60s, and So the consulate officer asked him what he was going to do in the US. He said he was going for an eye surgery, and then consulate officer said, like, you've never traveled out of the country before, like, how come you never traveled out of the country before? And the guy was just shouting, like, what am I traveling outside the country to go and do? Like, I'm content with my Nigeria, I'm happy with my Nigeria. The only reason I'm going to the US is because I have to go for an eye surgery. If I didn't have to go for an eye surgery, I'll stay in my country. I've not had any reason to travel before that, so why am I traveling? Like, he tried to give it to the consulate officer. The consulate officer said fear, and granted him the visa. So yeah, like, that guy's experience just taught me that, like, if you were confident and had a convincing reason for going to the US, you were most likely going to be granted the visa. The next one that made me laugh, so they were like a bunch of 4 or 5 guys, young boys, like teenagers. They were wearing jerseys, t-shirts, jersey shorts, and sneakers. Like, I think one even carried football. I mean, I might even add into this story. I can't remember. I think one of them had a football on him. Yeah. And then they were with their coach. So they called the coach first, and as the coach was going, they were just saying, the boys were saying to him, like, yeah, come on, deny coach, come on, deny coach, deny coach, deny. No, it means that yeah, they shouldn't deny coach. If they deny coach, it means they'll deny all 5 of us. And when the consulate officer interviewed the coach, and I guess the coach couldn't answer his questions competently, he denied him. So the coach was leaving soberly, and then the boys were like, yeah, what did deny coach, what am I deny? Well, no, it means yeah, they deny coach. It means they will deny us too. And just like they predicted, when it was their turn, all 5 of them, they denied all 5 of them. Like, I didn't even know they used to apply for visa to go and play football in the US. Honestly, I didn't even know. And then there was a girl that really impressed me. She was a young girl, 15, 16. When they called her, she just catwalked to the consulate officer's glass, and then the guy asked her name, how old she was, 15 or 16, like, how many countries have you been to? She said, we have 3: UK, Dubai, and some other country. What course are you going to study? She answered very confidently. You know, the consulate officer was impressed, and at the end of the day, they granted her as expected, and she just catwalked back. Like, all the people around me say, my sharp, hey, you should answer a question. Oh, that come on my sharp. Like, it means this girl is very sharp. Can't you see how confidently she answered the questions? And so, cause my younger sister had her own interview like 3 days or in a few days or a week after that day, like, I was writing all the questions that were asked to that Omolowo boy that they denied and the young girl that they granted the visas. So I was writing all the questions down so that I could give to my sister, and she could practice answering those questions. And I think the very last person was one guy that worked at Shell or Schlum, I can't remember, but one of those oil companies, and he was wearing his ID across his neck. So one of the things Naira Land had already said, that if you're going for visa interview, US visa interview, and you have a job where your ID across your neck, as in it shows that you are likely not to run away because you have a job waiting for you in Nigeria when you get to the America. And so when they asked him to, what are you going for? I'm going for conference. Like, when they asked him things he couldn't answer, he was like, he's not the one that arranged the like, just very confident and laid back, and you knew they would grant him because they are racist in that US visa interview. Like, for him to work in Shell or Schlum or wherever, some oil company, it meant that he had a very good job, and he was most likely not to run away when he gets to America. He was most likely to return. Anyways, that's all the ones I can remember. But let me quickly talk about those Nigerians working in that US visa interview place. So the consulate officers are annoying, them aside, but the Nigerians working there are even worse. From the security man that tells people to line up outside the gate, to the staff that checks people's documents and tells them, well, you're going to sit down here, go and sit down there, and then to the ones that check your documents and see whether they are complete based on the visa interview you're applying for. Like, those people are very annoying. They used to talk to people very rudely, as in they used to carry shoulder pad and be able to say no because they are working in US visa office. It means that they are automatically living in America. Like, they seriously had a superiority complex. I'm not joking. If you've gone there before, you know that they had a bad attitude. They spoke to people anyhow. They related with people anyhow. Anyways, that's it for me today. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Bye.